I think what I love most about Toronto, I think is what a lot of people say, I don't know how you feel, but it's really the fact that this is such a diverse community. I love the diversity of our city. And not just Toronto, it's Brampton, it's Mississauga, it's all of Southern Ontario, and increasingly it's all of Canada. This is not just a country or a city that is one-dimensional. And diversity means diverse events, diverse cuisine, diverse art and culture, diverse traditions and heritage. And all that goes into this mosaic, which I think is really what makes Toronto such a fun and exciting place to live and work and play. Well, we subscribe to a couple of research databases. One is Stats Canada, which tracks international arrivals through the passport process. We also have a program with our hotels where they report each week occupancy statistics. How many people were, what percentage of the hotel was occupied, the average daily rate, because again, both are important in terms of the barometer, in terms of the health of the industry. So we have a number of data points that we research. I have to tell you that occupancy is one of the most important because it translates into bodies, overnight visitors in hotels. And of course, those same overnight visitors then are the same visitors that go out and shop and go to events, go to the museums, and are the economic driver. There's also day visitors, but those have a relative importance to an attraction perhaps, but our real focus is on overnight visitors to the destination. Well, I think it speaks to the diversity of our city. A big percentage, almost 20% of any destination's visitors are people visiting friends and relatives. You've probably had friends and relatives come visit you here. And so the diversity of our city, the fact that we have so many Asian residents, South Asian, Indian residents, South American residents, that helps us draw that initial base of visitors. The real growth that we're seeing, though, really speaks to the economic growth of those countries, the BRIC countries, including Brazil, including India, including China. These are where economies are thriving, where populations are massive, and these are visitors that now can travel anywhere around the world. And our job is to try to make sure we focus on getting our fair share of those visitors here for Canada and here for Toronto. Well, there's always a natural tendency to think of one thing that will draw a visitor here, whether it's the Caravana, Caribbean Carnival now, a gay pride, a major Mervish theater event, or the IFA Awards. Really, it's not one individual event that we focus on. It's the imagery of the destination. It's the brand association with the destination. Tourism is just like a consumer brand. The decision you make for the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the jewelry you wear, the gifts you give to other people, those decisions are based on a myriad of things over a long period of time where you're getting an image in your mind about what that brand means. Tourism is no different. And so the key with IFA was to brand Toronto and to expose Toronto to that market, a passionate film community, but also a huge country of great potential. We saw the numbers. And so it's really showing that Toronto has stars, Toronto has great hotels, big parties, big events. And it's really a branding exercise more than it is a single event exercise to draw. Even though that event drew thousands of visitors, it's more about the image and reputation that that event is creating for us. Well, of course, everyone thinks of the CN Tower. I think its height alone is one of those things. It's iconic and it's physical. But it's a great example of a destination can't just rest on its laurels. I mean, New York can't just rest on the fact that it had the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. San Francisco can't just rest on the fact that it has the Golden Gate Bridge. London can't just rest on the fact that it has either a palace or the bridge. So icons are great. But I'm more interested in, I think what tourism really focuses on is the heartbeat of a destination. And that's not so much bricks and mortar or a building, it's the kind of things that really go into the personality of a destination. But clearly, iconic things like the CN Tower, the fact that it's one of the tallest buildings in North America, is something to at least be an initial attractor of interest and awareness. Well, of course, being the president of Tourism Toronto, it's hard for me to pick one because we want to make sure everybody feels equally beloved. There are some amazing attractions that we have here, whether it's Canada's Wonderland for young people, the ROM and the AGO, or even the Badashi Museum for the art and culture community. But some of our best attractions are really the neighborhoods. And for me particularly, the fact that we have a Little Italy, one of the largest Greek communities, the Bazaar, the Indian Bazaar, of course, all these areas that give us that personality of a diverse multinational city. Queen Street West being so different than Queen Street East. Those are kind of, I think, what really stands us apart. And because of that, the ability to have great retail there, great nightlife there, great restaurants there, museums, art and culture, and a personality of a multicultural destination, I think that's our greatest source of pride. And for me, it's I think what can really be the favorite places for people to visit and play. My favorite location is the water. I love water. I grew up on the water. I'm from Florida on the water. And although Lake Ontario is not an ocean, it is like being seaside. It is a magical city by the sea, and in this case by the lake. But I love being on the water. I love the feeling of water, and so I think it's one of our greatest assets. The fact that this amazing, huge urban center is located in such a beautiful, whether it's a sunset over the water or just the water activities, there's a calming effect for it. And for me, I just get a real kick of being down by the water. Well, we first compare ourselves among Canada. And I think our big differentiation in Canada is that we're so large. I mean, most people don't realize, traveling around the world, how big is Montreal, how big is Vancouver, how big is Quebec City, how big is Toronto. Clearly, in terms of our hotel industry, the fact that we have almost 40,000 hotel rooms, we're twice as big a tourism destination as any other destination in Canada. We compare very favorably to the size of the hotel inventory in New York and London. Obviously, New York and London have had a big head start in terms of being global cities. Increasingly, Toronto is more and more a global city. Our global banking is some of the highest respected in the world. Our arts and culture, our medical institutions are centers of excellence. We're one of the leading cancer research centers. You think, well, how does that have effect on tourism? We host a number of medical conventions. Business travel in general is a big part of our product. So having a thriving commerce and industry really does help give us a foundation to build on. Increasingly, as a diverse city, we're also attracting people from all over the world, and they have choices now. They can go to any city in the world. What's going to differentiate Toronto? That's what we spend day and night working on. Well, clearly, based on the statistics that we're looking at, the trends that we're looking at, Toronto is obviously growing. It's growing as a city. More and more people are moving here. The urbanization of Canada is not unlike the urbanization of the rest of the world. In major countries, whether it's China, even in India or in South America, people are moving to cities. The traditional urban versus rural farms, some of the manufacturing that was done in rural areas, that technology is changing that. So all over the world, cities are growing. In Europe, in Asia, in South America, and here in Canada. And Toronto is part of that experience. More and more people are moving and looking for jobs, looking for life, and also visitors are looking for that urban experience, because that's where the growth is. So clearly our ability to grow is going to be what's going to transcend the next 10 years, our ability to absorb that growth and our ability to differentiate. We don't want to be just like every other city. And so clearly what the opportunity for the next 10 years is kind of what has happened for the last 10 years. And are we able to sustain it? Are we able to not stand still? And are we able to grow and grow successfully? Well, part of a tourism product is the experience, and that's everything from wayfinding. And as we speak of having more international visitors and visitors from all over the world, their ability to understand where they are and where they want to go, wayfinding, signage, information in multiple languages is going to be very, very important. If, in fact, that is our future, we need to be well served to make sure that information is available in multiple languages. Product also is about, the experience is about infrastructure. And so as Toronto ages, and ages perhaps gracefully, we still need to make sure that our highways, that our subway system, that our mass transit, that our parking facilities are all up to high standards. Nothing like success to create crowds, but nothing like crowds to really test whether a destination can absorb and handle that much. You don't want your visitors, for example, stuck in traffic all day. And lastly, you improve a city and a product in tourism by not becoming stale. It always has to be refreshed. We can't just have the same exhibits, the same attractions, the same product. People are interested in new things. If we want repeat visitors, we have to keep introducing new experiences and new activities to what is already a great destination. And all those things kind of go into a thriving, evolving city, both in terms of infrastructure and in terms of the ultimate experience. For me, Toronto is pulsating, and I use that word because it's like a heartbeat. And I think any great, as our own heart, it beats different paces. When we get excited, our heart beats faster. When we exercise, our heart beats faster. When we relax, our heart can slow down. And that heartbeat of a city is, I think, what's so magical about Toronto. The fact that this is a major urban cosmopolitan destination with a character, with a personality all its own, and with a pulsating vibe that whatever you're into, that's the key. What you want in a vacation experience, can you find it in Toronto? Everybody's different. We don't just have one product to offer. And every visitor has a different set of expectations and desires. The ability for us to be flexible, but also to afford you the opportunity you're looking for, is what really makes a great destination in tourism. And I think that heartbeat of what Toronto has, I find it to be very exciting. I find it to be very pulsating. Well, they should be a lot like you. I want to commend you and congratulate you for this project, and I'm honored to have a chance to contribute and participate. Technology is changing everything that we do in work, in our social life, and in our recreation. Clearly, young people today, and students in this case, to your question, they have the ability to have access to whether it's their smartphones, our digital information, social networking. Those are kinds of things that never existed 10, 15, even a few years ago. Tourism is not unlike any other career. Your ability, students' ability to use the technology they have available, because at the end of the day, tourism is about sales and marketing, and it's about communicating. And if you can't be a good communicator, you're not going to have a success in hospitality or hospitality management. It's easy to forget being a good reader, being a good writer, being a good orator or communicator. Those skills are often forgotten in today's technology, where our phones correct our spelling for us. And the slang of OMG instead of filling out total sentences. What we have to do is make sure that our next wave of career professionals have the ability to communicate. Now they can use technology to do that, but it's about what's your message, who's your target audience, and what impression do you want to give them. And for young people, their ability to be great communicators is going to open up a lot of doors for them, regardless of what their choice is. Tourism is clearly growing. Increasingly, we'll have more tourism opportunities in this destination than manufacturing opportunities. And technology is going to add to that. So it's a great career to get into. It can create a lot of opportunities. It's a fun industry as well. But communicating and being a great communicator is my best advice to any student who's looking to differentiate themselves. Students have to be just like tourism destinations. What's going to make you different? What's going to make you special as a career candidate? Why would I want to hire you? How are you going to stand out? That's really the question that young people need to think about. And like I said, I've had a lot of fun being part of this project. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.